It's back. So we have drug up the Rustang up to the station once again because we are ready to do part 19 of the Mustang Rustang, and we are going to install the engine and transmission as one piece. As you see, we have the engine and transmission all ready for one piece. G Junior is crawled underneath the car, taking the crossmember out. We put the crossmember back in so the parking brake would work, so the car would not roll away. So he is in there now trying to get the crossmember dropped down, so when we sloop the engine on in, it'll go right in. One thing I have to admit on these Mustangs that I like is these are the front frame mounts for the engine, how it's got a hole right there. If you look right here, it's just got a nut and a big washer that holds it in here. So these are very easy to line up. So I don't know if this is going to be a short video or a long video, but I'll put you in time warp as we're putting the engine in. We have some other cars we have to work on, so we'll be doing it back and forth, but we'll go ahead and start dropping the motor back in. So we'll be back in a little bit, probably with a time warp. Alrighty, as you can see by the time warp, we had the hook in the center, and that did not give us enough transmission down to get it in. This barely gave us enough transmission to get it down. So we are actually sitting on the mount here. These are so easy to line up, like I said. So we got the transmission jacked up with the floor jack. Actually, go ahead and let this, let's go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and put the nut and the washer on. We got new nuts. We're gonna go ahead and put the nut and washer on the front motor mounts. You should probably be able to let this down. Yeah, it's not doing anything. All right, hold on, let me put it on the other side, and we'll disconnect the engine crane. All right, pull. All right, well, we're done with that. All right, check that out. We got it back in with, I think, no damage at all. Let's see here. We chipped the paint there, pulling it back out a little bit. This is pretty wimpy anyway. All right, there it is, 289. Almost back home. We're gonna go ahead and get the motor mount nuts on. We're gonna crawl underneath and get the transmission cross member on. That's pretty boring. So we'll get that done and we'll probably be back. Okay, so we got G Junior installing the passenger side header, and he actually has made short work of it because we were able to put the header from underneath. So these are like some definitely ancient old tri-Y headers. These things are thick as hell. The flange is welded, okay? These are very, very heavy. But they look very good. We went ahead and bought some of the Speedmaster copper reusable exhaust gaskets. They look very nice. They're like copper, and then they have the material sandwich inside. And if for you all that are wondering why they're called tri-Ys, so here is a Y, there's one. Here is a Y, there's two, and then this is a Y This is the Y3, so tri-Y, 3 Ys. You got a Y here, a Y here, and then this as an assembly, and this as an assembly is your other Y. So we're gonna have to sneak this in from underneath. I think we can sneak it in from underneath. For some reason, these are stock coils. We can't even hook the shocks on because the car is sitting too high. We thought it was gonna settle down once we got the engine and transmission in to give it some more weight, but it barely moved down at all, if any. But at least now we can bounce a little bit. So hopefully with the motor and trans back in, it'll give enough weight to get the motor back down. Now I know the motor is 62 pounds lighter with all the aluminum stuff we put on. I think I went over that on the other video, but I'll go over it real quick. The intake manifold was 42 pounds and each cylinder head were 47 pounds. That's 136 pounds. The new intake is only 16 pounds and the heads were 29 pounds a piece, 74 pounds. So 136 minus 74, we're saving 62 pounds. So this is actually 62 pounds lighter. We still have the water pump to put on and the radiator. He's working on the headers. Yeah, try not to strip the bolts, just get them tightened evenly. G Junior's doing a hell of a job. And we'll get the other header in and continue busting this motor in here. All right, so G Junior got the header in on this side. I got the header on this side. Go ahead. He's putting the valve covers on probably for the last time. And we got these valve covers off of eBay. They're like metal with rubber inside. So we're not even gonna glue them down to the valve cover. We're just gonna lay them in there. And we gotta find the bolts, which these are the bolts it came with. So, yeah, somewhat lined up. And I dropped the washer. Now you're not lined up here.
No, I'm gonna have to glue them.
Nah, we're not gonna have to glue them. I'll get them. We're gonna have to find the washer I dropped. It dropped that way. All right, so we're still trucking along. Got the headers. Oh, we got the spark plugs in too, and we'll have to find the rest of the bolts for the valve covers and get the valve covers on for the last time. G Junior is just cranking on this thing. We've got the lower pulley on. He's got the water pump on. He's got the alternator brackets on. We've got the motor mounts all bolted in, the trans bolted all in. We've got the silicone bypass hose put on. We're not going to run the heater hoses for right now, so we have that blocked off, and we have that blocked off on the water pump. But he's rolling on this thing. I hope we didn't mess up the coil when we were putting the engine in. We dented the coil, didn't we? No, that coil might not be any good. I was thinking about buying a new coil anyway, but we might have dented that coil. That's all right. We'll see if it still works. If it doesn't work, we'll get another coil. We ordered header gasket, the collector gaskets for the headers. We don't have any. So we're gonna get the alternator on here. Do you have the fan and the pulley? We're gonna get the fan, the pulley, and the belt put on, and we'll slide the new radiator in, and then we're gonna have to bend the trans lines so they'll work properly. We'll just run those hoses for now and change them later, I guess. We did flush the lines out, so it's coming along good. G Junior is doing an excellent job. Alrighty, so we got the fan in, the alternator is in loosely. We couldn't find, or we were missing the spacer, so we just made a spacer. It's supposed to be 1.635 of an inch, so we measured that, so that's supposedly right. Now we have a aluminum radiator that we bought brand new because all the radiators we had were junk. This thing is really pretty. All right, so then pull it on out. All right, this is the top. Let's go ahead and pull it out of the bag. Now, this might be a problem. This fan spacer might be too long for this radiator. So, and then we are missing all the clamps. Do we have clamps for this? Do you know where the clamps are?
I have no idea.
All right. No big deal. Ooh, came with a new radiator tab. Looks very nice. It's like a 4-row. Didn't I buy like the extra 4-row? There you go. Now you go. All right, here. Let's leave those. Well, all right, go ahead. Okay, now look. Yep. Bring it in nice and slow so we can see if it's going to to fit. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Not gonna fit.
I don't know. All right, everybody, here's a shot of the new aluminum radiator. Let me see if we can get it in here. I need both hands. So there's the pretty new aluminum radiator. We might have to buy a different fan spacer. All righty, well, it's another day on this. We had to order a bunch of parts. So first thing is the radiator would not fit in here because the fan spacer was too big. So we ordered a new fan spacer. We got the belt sitting on here to make sure that this all looked right. We went ahead and put the cap and the rotor and the new wires on. So we're waiting for collector gaskets. We have brought up the original mufflers and pipes that were on the car that we're just going to reuse. It's got cute little turbo mufflers. They're not rusted out. We're going to reuse them. So here is a problem that we've been having. I mentioned this earlier. These springs are supposed to be stock springs, but you can see that these control arms are like at a 45-degree angle and almost touching the frame back here. There is something wrong with these springs. We're going to have to get these out of here. So we dug through all the springs we have. These are the original springs that were in this front clip, and that's why it says 260 on these springs, because this front end was off a 64.5 and it had a 260 engine in it. So we also found the springs that came in this car that were pretty badly rusted and I didn't want to use them, but we cleaned them up. They seem okay. Those are over at E-Boy's house getting powder coated. So we're going to get those powder coated and we're going to have to take the front end back apart to get these springs out of here. I don't know what these springs are. They look just like Mustang springs. They look like they're the same height and the same coil, but they are not settling in. And I don't know if you can see it. I can't even move the car and the shocks aren't connected. I can't even get it to bounce. So right now we're waiting on a bunch of parts to get here. So we got them all ordered. I think I might go ahead and end this video here, part 18. I think it's part 18. It will say in the description. But it's just putting everything back together. We also put the battery tray in and got our battery in. We fixed the positive battery cable. We started running the wires back in. So, you know, that's basically the headlight wire harness and the regulator. Now this front end actually had a generator in it, so it had a different regulator. So this is the one off the 65 because this car's got an alternator. So we had to get that mounted. We've got the horns, and I know 64.5 had different horns than 65. So there's no hole drilled in here for this to come through, this little rubber doohickey. So we're going to look at the 66 Mustang that I have to find out where these go through. There's the headlight and the parking light and the turn signal wire harness there. Same thing over here. That's all through where it needs to be. We have the other wire harness that comes out of the dash that goes to the neutral safety switch and the backup light switch, and to control the electronics in the motor, the coil, the water temperature, and the oil pressure sending unit. And then that runs on over to the solenoid. We have to check, I'm not sure we have these wires hooked up right. And then we have the starter hooked up. We have the alternator harness run properly through the cross member here and on up and plugged in. Somebody added this wire. This is for an electronic choke. So we have the electronic choke wire here. I'll have to check that once the car's running. So we're waiting for a bunch of parts. I think we're gonna wait and get the bunch of parts, and I'll just come back and make part 19 of trying to fire it up. So we're gonna go ahead and get all the parts we need. We're gonna get the car all back together. We'll get the radiator in, we'll get the fan on, we'll get the exhaust on. Really, I think that's it. We gotta make sure the points, this still has a point distributor. Make sure the points, we'll get the carburetor on. So we'll get it all ready to fire up, and we'll come back with episode, I do believe, 19. So we'll leave it here. Don't forget, look down the description, the playlist of all the Mustang videos, and in the list down there too, there is my Printify store where you can get Rustang t-shirts and hats and stuff. So go check them out on my Printify store. So I'm gonna leave this one here. Thanks a lot for watching. Please subscribe. You can always do that in that corner there. Please give me a thumbs up if you like my automotive videos and the Rustang series. All right, everybody, we'll catch you on the next one when we should be firing this car up.